And welcome into the official SCFC podcast. I'm Kaila Burns-Hefner here with Marvell and Sal Zizo. Welcome back to episode 6 of the official SCFC podcast.
Already at 6.
Look at us go.
6 episodes in.
Yeah,
How does it feel?
Flies by, seriously.
I've been enjoying my time here ever since we started. So
we know,
We're happy
Marv. We
to hear
know
it.
you love everything about this.
I'm so happy. Love you
We're
too,
happy
Sal.
you're happy. Well, we've got a lot going on in this show today. Really excited to get into everything that we are going to get into. We'll have an interview with Luca de la Torre. We'll get to talk to assistant coach Kelvin Jones, kind of recapping the last couple of matches, previewing the next match. We've got a really exciting interview with our own Russ Thompson. So make sure that everyone stays tuned for all of the information that will be coming your way. Super exciting podcast episode today. But guys, I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're gonna jump right into the game, we can talk about that. So I mean, obviously, not the result we wanted, but I think the more concerning part, right, was it was another match where we gave up 3 goals, another match where we didn't really look like ourselves. But I do want to go back to the overall kind of macro view on all of this, and that's to say, look, when we heard from Mikey Varas at the beginning of the season, when we've heard from, a lot of the people within SDFC, it was never going to be perfect from day one. And although at times it looked great at the start, and it seems to be, at the start, whenever you're like, okay, this is the next test, and they kept passing all these tests, and finally, when everyone bought in, now there's like this little bit of a downturn. And I think what's important right now is to go back and think about where your head was at the beginning of the season. And I think Mikey said it best to me once, where he said, look, we have to keep our highs low and our lows high, and keep that even keel as much as possible. Because right now it's probably not as bad as it seems, and it probably wasn't as good as it seemed at the beginning, right? So you have to be able to find that balance. But look, they're certainly not happy about losing points at home, and they're going to look to get back on track against Dallas on Saturday.
I think we almost we started off kind of spoiling ourselves with the way that we came out and played. It was different, it was new, and it was also effective. It looked really good. But then as we kept going on, we tried playing at the back a few times, and mistakes happen. Here or there, they're just going to happen no matter how good your team is. And when that happens, I think that really affects certain players. Like, it gets into your head. If you're trying to play out the back around the 18-yard box or so, you give one up, ends up being a goal. That's gonna stick with you for a little bit. As a defender myself, it was one of those, if I made a mistake, there was a goal. So I can understand how certain players could be feeling that way. But the way Mikey approaches things is this is still a lesson to learn. So hopefully the players aren't going to get too down on themselves. They're going to get some confidence boosting from the other teammates, as well as Mikey and the coaching staff. And, I did see a little bit of what we came out the blocks at the beginning of the game. I think we came out pretty strong. We were looking pretty good. We started pulling them into us and then playing out. And then we reverted back to the, we're going to kick it long, see if we can get behind, which has caused some success. I mean, Chucky out there getting on the ball, was it 2 goals, 4 assists in terms of goal contributions? So, I mean, he's very effective. I just think that we need to start playing, an all-around game with everybody on the pitch and not just trying to go so direct.
Yeah, you guys both bring up Mikey's perspective. I think he had some really good perspective in his post-game press conference. I'll pull up the quote, but a reminder, this is the first game that San Diego FC has lost at home too. So that puts some kind of perspective into everything. Is this team is a good team. That's something that Mikey addresses. But just in one of those moments where, there's a lot to be learned still, and it's still a new team that's only been playing together for, just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think just to set the tone, listen, we're working really hard. Every week, these guys are showing up and training well, but we're still a young club, and things aren't where we want them to be, obviously. My message to the La Frontera, for example, is like, what a fantastic performance from them in the stands. So loud, so committed. We hear them, we understand that the second half is not good enough. All of us put our hands up for that, and we're just going to get back to work and make sure that we turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, he says it right there, right? The second half wasn't good enough, but there's no person in this entire organization that is going to take it the hardest and actually work the hardest to get this sorted than Mikey Varas. That's just my honest opinion. I've seen them. They care, they care about turning this around. If you're a fan, sometimes you're in the stands and you're going, oh, why are they doing this? Or, everyone thinks they can be a head coach. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize, the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of details that these guys cover, and the amount of video and just everything from a style perspective that he's going to put together for the next game and prepare, right? Like, he didn't go into the last 3 games saying, okay, we're just going to play a different way, right? I think certain things like Marv kind of touched on, them going a little bit more direct, a little bit too often. Maybe, the other team is kind of giving them the more direct pass, knowing that they want to be able to keep possession, and we're kind of feeding into that a little bit too much. And I think if we go back to just being patient a little bit more and focusing on that style of play, it's going to benefit us. But no, I mean, again, Mikey spot on with his quotes after the game. Look, it's a long season. They're going to figure it out. There's ups and downs. Winless in the last 3, but I'm not really concerned on a long-term view.
That's a good point when you say, like, often when I'm watching games and I see certain playing styles change up from game to game, I'm thinking, what's going on in the locker room? What are they saying? What did they see flaws in last game that they want to improve on this game? What did they see openings before that they want to actually attack this time around? And I believe it's basically a lot of, we are so close, but here, let's just work on this little aspect of it, which is probably going to play through. Before, we played with the ball in the back for half the game and then slowly work our way up. Now it's as if teams were expecting that. So we're like, all right, now we're going to surprise them by going over the top. And if they're ready for us, then they're ready for us. But you also made a good point about the Frontera. Fans, we're never going to forget about you. And it would have meant a lot for me, being out there and cheering if the head coach calls you out. So we're out here. We're doing this for you, trying to give you some information. So really appreciate all of you out there.
And one other thing that we kind of touched on last podcast was like, look, it's never easy to play a team so close together, right? They maybe played them a month ago and they beat them the first time at home. So there's that like revenge factor that Salt Lake is bringing, and it's just never easy when you're playing a team again, right? Now they're going to try to come fix things, whereas SDFC was like, hey, there's really not much to fix because we beat them pretty handily last time. And so they're going in, changing up some stuff. Maybe SDFC's changing a few things, but really they're like, let's stick to our game plan. And things get switched up. Bounces go certain ways. The Yepe handball, like that's not going to happen often. So again, that's soccer at the end of the day. But I'll say this again. It's a long season. We're a quarter of the way through, a little bit more. I'm not concerned. I still see this team, as a playoff team, which in year one is pretty damn good.
Yeah, also playing a team that you've already played before, you might, because when we played Salt Lake, we were still very much so into that starting form that we came out as. So now when you're playing them again, it's like, all right, well, what worked last time we played them when we were away? And how much different does that look than our last couple of games and how more direct we're going and all sort of stuff. So you almost kind of have a lot to analyze. What worked back then, what have we been doing, and what will work against them again?
Yeah.
And if we come out and they're ready for us, then that just adds another layer to the difficulty that we have playing against another team again.
The first time playing a team for the second time this season for San Diego FC. Obviously, that's going to start happening a lot more. There's a lot to learn from. Exciting. We're going to get to hear from, Kelvin Jones on his perspective on how the team attacks that. In a little bit, we'll also get to hear from San Diego native Luca de la Torre. Get some of your questions answered here as well. So please stay tuned.
As the official specialty insurance partner of San Diego FC, Palomar offers standalone earthquake insurance that protects property and peace of mind. It's crucial to be prepared. Visit plmr.com or contact your insurance agent for a quote. Palomar, reimagining specialty insurance with innovative, creative solutions.
Hey everybody, this is Darren Smith. I host a radio show called SDFC Midweek Live. You can hear it Wednesday nights, 6 o'clock on San Diego Sports 760 and anytime on the iHeartRadio app. Join me, Adrian Garcia Marquez, Warren Barton, SDFC players and staff. It's the only hour on local radio dedicated 100% to San Diego Football Club and the beautiful game.
We're joined by Luca De La Torre, midfielder for San Diego FC, San Diego native. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We're here with two also San Diego natives, former national team players as well. Would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just, obviously Marv and I and you really, we would have loved to have this growing up. You were obviously lucky enough to now have this in your prime years. Just walk us through, like, what's it been like playing at, the highest level of soccer in this country in your hometown?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been special. The home games have been really like electric. The atmosphere,
Yeah.
around 30,000 people there every week. So yeah, it's special, and I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
You always know this is like a real
Soccer
football
hub,
city.
right?
Yeah. I remember kind of the years I was in Europe, kind of seeing all the expansion clubs, and it'd be like
Waiting, right?
Nashville, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like, how is San Diego not the first one they do? But,
I know.
yeah.
True. All right. So you were talking about, looking back to the States when you're over there in Europe. What got you over to Europe? And also, like, when you were growing up, because me and Seth were talking about this, when we were growing up, we didn't have, posters on our wall of our favorite players. EPL started being shown here in 98, so we barely got to look into that. Like, when you were growing up here, like, were you pushed by any other means besides just your talent and it was taking you places? Or did you have people that you looked up to and you said you wanted to be like them or anything like that?
Nah, for me, it was just the most clear path to being a professional. Like you've said, we didn't really have this here, like a professional academy and a first team. And so, yeah, I was lucky I had a Spanish passport, which helped a lot. Yeah. So I was able to go over to Europe young and like get that pathway that didn't exist here.
And you wanted to go, like, even at a young age, you had that passion. There was no homesick, because I know me, like, at 15 years old, I was not ready to go overseas. I was just like getting in that, like, my sophomore year of high school, like I was barely ready when I went to UCLA. So, like, what was that like, 15 years old going overseas?
Yeah, it's just like, it was just the most kind of natural decision.
Okay.
It just kind of felt like the right thing to do. Like, I want to be a professional. This is the most clear pathway.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go for it.
Cool. Yeah. And that came in, did the opportunity come from what? Like, you played club soccer, obviously, in the US. Were you playing youth national teams, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah. I was playing for youth national teams. I think at that time, like, teams were really starting to scout, like, here.
Yeah.
And especially youth national teams. So yeah, I went onto trial at Fulham when I was pretty young, like kind of 13. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, they kept kind of in contact with me over the years, and I went back a few times.
Yeah.
So I had kind of a relationship with the club before I decided to move.
Did you cross path with any Americans at Fulham? Because Fulham's always had a ton of Americans.
Yeah.
Was like Bocanegra there at the time, and those guys, or were you?
So Dempsey was there.
Oh, okay.
I trained with Dempsey once. He probably doesn't remember, but like, he was on the out. He was trying to force a move. And I was training with the reserves, and I was like, 15 or something, and or even younger.
Was that?
And he was training with the reserves because the first team was.
Was he going to Tottenham? Or
yeah, he went to Tottenham. Yeah.
Interesting.
That winter, I think. And then also Emerson Heineman, who I think is back now playing USL, but I played with him.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. So going over to Europe, like, at such a young age, the whole, like, if you were going to get homesick, or, this is it, now all you're going to do is just football constantly. None of that scared you. You were just like, this is the path I have to take in order to get to where I want to be. And you were just down for it.
Yeah, I just kind of went with it. Obviously, it was really difficult. I didn't know at the time, how hard that would be. But, I just kind of stuck with it and kept showing up every day. And, eventually that kind of hard work and just sticking with it pays off.
Did you have anyone over there you kind of like leaned on in those times? Like, any mentors that evolved for, some of your early days playing over there?
Yeah, early on, not really. It was definitely difficult, like, not having close family support. It's probably not something I would recommend for kids to do at that young, to like go by themselves completely. Yeah. Obviously, if this was here, it would have been maybe different. Yeah. Or if one of my parents could have moved with me, which wasn't possible because of their work. But yeah, in the end, I made the most out of it, and I got through it.
Yeah, you're definitely stronger, right? In the end, like, I know when I went there and got forced to live on my own, albeit at 20 years old, I wish I had gone when I was in the prime of my career, I think I would have had a different trajectory. Because when you get older, you know what it's like to be a professional, and you know the things you need to do. I know Marv was always fearful of going overseas out of college.
Yeah, so after your 20s or whatever, I was scouted by like Hamburg over there in Germany, FC Mainz, Monaco, I believe, like a few clubs. But I was just nervous to go, like because you know my talent was basically just being really fast, and you know going over to a place like that where you need to be more ticky-tacky, you know, more skillful in the ball. I just kind of knew that, you know, maybe going back to college was best for me. But
everyone's like, where? What club are you going to? What professional team?
But here, having a whole academy squad, were you exposed to like the academy system over there when you went over to Europe, or you just straight full team?
Yeah, so I moved when I was first team. I went 15. Sorry, I went straight into the academy, and then I worked my way up. So I played like under 16s, under 18s, reserves, and then had appearances in the first team as well. So yeah, it's a clear pathway over there. You know?
Yeah. Do you see an opportunity to mentor here with the SFC Academy?
Yeah, I would love that. You know, it's especially with younger players. You know, I found kind of people that helped me in that way a bit later in my career, which definitely made a huge difference for me. But the younger, the better. You know.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to those who help.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit just like what life would be like if this was an opportunity for you here with having Right to Dream in San Diego. Just can you tell us a little bit about just what your excitement is for being able to see the soccer community here grow with this?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like the talent here is like second to none. You know, I'm sure you guys know.
A lot of people don't
people don't realize actually.
No.
Yeah. Like when I was 13, I think like 9 out of 11 starters on the under 14 national team were from Southern California.
Yep.
And like, I think 3 of us played on the same Sunday league team in San Diego.
Jeez.
So it's like out of the whole country, you know, like these were the best players of that age. But obviously a lot of those guys didn't really have like a clear pathway. You know, they didn't have a European passport. They didn't have, you know, people around them to point them in the right direction or to take a bet on them. And then it's really difficult, you know, to make that step.
Yeah, it happens all the time, right? Growing up, how many youth national team players did you play with that didn't even make it to the professional level, right? Back in our day when they had residency at Bradenton, you know, there would always be those select few that would come out, you know, the Michael Bradleys, the Freddie Adu's,
back in our day.
The things like that. Of course, back in our day. I mean, Marv, we were born in the 80s, dude. People don't realize that anymore. So, but yeah, no, like it's going to be cool to have that in our own backyard. Again, I would have loved to have something like that growing up. And I think it's going to produce, right, a lot more professional athletes and soccer players out of San Diego than ever before, right? There was always a good, you know, 1 or 2 every year that kind of make it, but I think you're going to see 5, 6, 7 now, you know, and it's always had the talent. So excited to see that.
Yeah, and they're really serious about the academy, you know, the setup they have here, like the
unbelievable, right?
Facilities and everything. So yeah, it's really exciting once it gets going. It's going to have a huge impact.
So take us back a couple months and you're having these conversations about coming over to, you know, be a part of this first team for San Diego FC, for, you know, the first team in the MLS for San Diego. Just kind of what has it been like to be able to kind of come back to your hometown and be a part of this?
Yeah, it's been by far the easiest transition of my career, you know. It's probably obvious to say that, but yeah, I went to England, I went to Netherlands, I went to Spain. Those were all quite difficult, you know, the first few months, just getting adjusted and new family and new team and new language and country. So it's just been so smooth coming back. I've loved every second of it.
Did you, when you, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Marv.
Your train of thought derailed.
Yeah, it's completely derailed.
On your way back, or now that you've been back, have you been able to see anybody that you haven't seen in a while, or has anybody like reached out to you and been like, "Yo, man, I've been watching you play." You know, I remember when we were kicking the ball back and forth together, and anything like that.
Yeah, a lot of people actually.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, a lot of ex-coaches, guys I used to play with, guys I went to school with. Yeah, it's been really nice.
Yeah, we gotta be proud of you, right?
Yeah,
that's great.
So I remember it now. So when San Diego announced this team, right? You mentioned like how cool it was when they first announced it. Like, was it always on your radar? Like, I want to play here, or was it more like, let me see what options I still have in Europe? Because I know obviously every player's dream is to continue to play at the highest level, at the European level. But when you saw it here, was it something that, right away you're like calling your agent, hey, get me there? Or was it just something that eventually kind of happened?
Yeah, like when it was announced like 2 years ago, it was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
This place deserves that.
Yeah.
And then a little bit later when they got in contact, obviously, and made their intentions about signing me, then you start to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because you were kind of like a later signing, right? Isn't that right? Compared to some of the other kids?
Yeah, I came like 2 weeks kind of late. It was huge. but
Okay.
yeah.
2 weeks into preseason?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
You mentioned getting to have some reunions. We saw a sweet moment between you and one of your former coaches from playing on Sunday League, Martin. Can you just tell us a little bit about that experience and what it was like to rekindle with him?
Yeah, it was really funny. Like, obviously, when I was a kid, I didn't speak any Spanish, and I learned to speak Spanish in Spain. So seeing him again, I was like, I can actually talk to this guy now. And he looked exactly the same, which is funny. Like, there's that picture of us standing next to each other.
Yeah.
He's like, exact same mustache, same everything. It was, I felt like I was, 9 years old again or something. It was really weird.
Yeah, take us back to being 9 years old playing. Like, what were you doing at that time where you guys were playing together?
So he was the coach of my Sunday League team, Los Delfines. That was with a lot of other really, really talented, good young players. That was probably the most fun I've ever had with football. I remember like playing in City Heights, like that pitch is like so bad. It's like minefield. Like
There's still a lot of kids that play in those leagues that don't even play like club soccer, like organized club soccer, and they just go out there and they play in the City Heights League. And dude, that's where you could recruit. There's some talent
pretty
there.
talented, huh?
yeah, really good. Yeah, like the atmosphere around there is also really great. Like it's super relaxed. Like
Yeah.
all the parents come watch the older kids. It's just like a party almost. It's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You haven't had much difficulty with the Volfilthreth down here with the Mexican Spanish and the.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
Understand
all going
everything.
good. All right.
Yeah.
Another kind of rekindle moment for you two, being able to reconnect with Mikey here. Saw that your first goal for the men's national team was under Mikey's interim coaching status there. What's it been like for you to be able to, now play with him here?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think Mikey's done a great job. He's a young coach. He has like his own personality and the way he manages the team that I think's been really good for us. And the team's going to keep growing and getting better under him. So it's been really good.
Nice. Should we get to those internet questions?
So we polled the fans to ask some questions that they wanted to hear from you. So we'll run through some of the ones here. We've got @Leo Olmedo asks, what is the biggest lesson that you took from your time in the Delfines, your childhood club?
Leo. Yeah, I remember Leo. Yeah. Really about enjoying the game. It's a difficult thing to keep doing if you don't find a way to enjoy it. So I would say, just enjoying football every day.
And it's got to be kind of a deep love if, like you were saying, you're going to a bunch of different countries. There's a lot of adversity, a lot of road bumps. But if you've got a love for a game and you're having fun, then it's got to be pretty powerful to kind of keep you going through all these years. So
yeah, it's a better attitude to have than to just kind of like grind through it. And, I've seen a lot of guys that they get kind of older and it's like they're just, trying to survive until the end. I don't want to be like that. I want to enjoy it until the end. Yeah.
well, welcome home.
This one we've got, which player in Europe that you played with do you look up to the most?
I would say two good ones for that, like what I just said, would be Iago Aspas at Celta, who's a guy that's like 37, 38, and still you can really tell like loves to play, And also Tim Ream, who I played with at Fulham, was a guy I kind of looked up to when I was younger.
This is a kind of funny one, and maybe you can provide some back story insight on where this one comes from. But at Gonzalo, are you still eating polpo after each win?
No, I'm not.
In the Italian culture, it's very not necessarily after every win, but just in general, they eat octopus all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they cut some, celery, carrots, some lemon juice. Eat it like that, yeah.
It's called
All
popo
day.
as well?
It's called like I don't want to say Pupo or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the backstory
Sicilian.
there for those who don't know?
Yeah, it was kind of like a joke at first. Like I did they did something with the media team where like me and a couple other foreign guys sat down and we tried like Galician seafood, which is like the area that we were playing in Spain. And one of the things was pulpo, which is like octopus, and it doesn't look very good, you know. So the other guys wouldn't touch it, and I loved it. So I ate like a whole octopus by myself in the video.
My uncle actually, when they used to cook it at my grandmother's house when I was younger, he would the octopus would be there, then you have to cut the tentacles off. He would grab the head of the octopus and like eat the brain. And it would just be like black. And he was just like, no, it's good, try it. I'm like 6 years old, like, what are you doing? Just traumatizing me. Yeah. No, I would eat the tentacles, but now I'm far from that because my wife's vegan and I'm vegetarian. So yeah.
I never ate the brain. I didn't know that.
That's a thing, dude. It's a thing.
Well, if we haven't ruined any appetites, we've got another food question from the fans. At Canelli59 asks, what's your favorite place to eat in San Diego?
Now we live close to the taco stand in La Jolla. We love that. That's really, really good. There's always a huge line outside also. That's top.
That's a good one. What is your favorite movie or TV show from Wesley Damico 516?
Movie or TV show? I loved True Detective season 1. That was a great series.
Yeah, McConaughey, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
McFam Designs asks, why do you wear the number 14?
When I signed in the Netherlands for Heracles, it was one of the numbers available. And it was Johan Cruyff's number, which I guess I thought was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Cruyff turn. It's a nice skill move.
And this one's fun at JNC_301. If you had to play another sport for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I would love to learn how to surf, actually. Never surfed before. I know it's being from here, I don't know how to surf, but I would love to learn how to do that.
I could see you on the waves. You seem like a very even keel guy, chill, like from San Diego. I could see you.
Do you know how to surf?
Nope. I don't think soccer players were really try to do too many extreme sports.
We're not allowed to, right?
You know?
Yeah.
I never snowboarded, no surfing.
I'm gonna learn how to sail.
Soccer.
I'm gonna learn how to sail. You should
sail?
Yeah, so I can take all the guys out.
Sail.
It's
All right,
it's like
man.
an afternoon, and then you
You gonna go buy a sailboat or what?
I'm gonna rent them out. Yeah, just you guys are gonna be on my boat.
See the vision.
One day,
See
I'm
the
gonna be
vision.
hanging out looking at sunsets and stuff. Watch.
I think you can figure out how to surf here. I think that can be in your journey at some point.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
That's all the fan questions we have. Thank you again so much for submitting those. We always appreciate hearing from you guys and for you tuning in. And thank you, Luca, for joining the podcast. We really appreciate your time and for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Had a great time. Thank
As a fellow San Diegan, keep representing this city. Doing well, man. Team's fun to watch. So
Very
thank you.
fun, and you're inspiring young kids like yourself growing up, and like us growing up here. So they're watching you. They're gonna get out there because they got a straight line into the professional scene, and they're looking after you. So thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Luca.
guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
As the official specialty insurance partner of San Diego FC, Palomar offers standalone earthquake insurance that protects property and peace of mind. It's crucial to be prepared. Visit plmr.com or contact your insurance agent for a quote. Palomar, reimagining specialty insurance with innovative, creative solutions. Become a season ticket member with San Diego FC and never miss a moment with guaranteed access to all home matches. Membership starts at just $40 per match, and you get the best value with amazing benefits. Visit San Diego FC/memberships to learn more.
What's up, everybody? This is Marvell Wynn of the official SDFC podcast, and guess what? It's not too late to become a founding season ticket member of San Diego FC, just like me. Memberships start at just $40 per match. You can learn more at sandiegofc.com/tickets/memberships. Become a founding member like me and get your name on the founding member wall like me. This opportunity is ending soon.
Welcome back to the show. Assistant Coach Kelvin Jones. Good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so talk us through a little bit about this last game, right? Obviously, a disappointing second half. But just from a coach's perspective, what did you guys see on the field? What are you guys working to improve? What didn't go well? All of that.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It was a tale of two halves. A really good first half in which we felt that we were in control and probably unlucky not to be ahead. And then a second half that was pretty uncommon for us. So a reflection for us, and I think it's we'll always talk about it. It's a season of first, and we have to remember we're still so new into this, and our challenge is to still to put together a complete game. I don't think we've done it, and we need to recognize that. And as much as we can, continue to put 15-minute intervals, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, then into 60, 75, and then a complete 90. We can say that will be our best, but the reality of it, that's going to come in time. And the more games that we play, hopefully we become a bit more consistent in it.
If you could pick one specific thing, because obviously, 9 goals in the last 3 games, that's something to look at, right? Transition moments or whatever. Yeah. But like one specific thing where you're like, this is what we were doing in the first few games, and this is what we're not doing now.
Yeah, I think it can't go unnoticed that there are things for sure that we may not be doing, but you can't take it away from the opposition. Yeah. The reality is maybe the first 3, 4, 5 games of the year, teams are still trying to figure us out.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So now they've got a database of games and figuring out how to game plan, and they've done a really good job of that. And I think what we are, if you go back to the Charlotte game, and testament to them, they really clogged up the middle, and we like to play central. Yeah. And the key reflection from that match is, we need to really take what the opponent gives us and evolve. And the space was to attack in wide areas. And it didn't happen in that Charlotte game. But then if you go back, look at the next game after that, in the RSL game, I thought Willie had a really good half for himself. And then collectively as a group, our ability to attack in the wide areas after bringing them central. So that's just the natural progression. We're still trying, like I said, put together a complete game that's in our style of play. But you also have to couple that. Teams now understand what we're trying to do, and they're trying to stop it. And we just need to continue to be better and more consistent.
Yeah. When looking back on these games, we realized that, Mikey has said it as well, that each game is a learning experience. Yeah, you learn the things that you've done well, you learn the things you've done poorly, and then you try to make your, strengthen your weaknesses and perfect your strengths. So when it comes to, like a week like this, how long what's like the schedule like throughout the week, where it's more so, all right, we're going to spend some time on what we need to work on this last game, and then you start to move forward? Like, is it a lot of dwelling on what happened and you really want to improve these little things? Or is it, this is what happened, this is what we did, good, bad, now let's move on to the next one, let's go hard? Yeah,
I think the big reflection is, to what we said at the beginning, is we need to be just more consistent in putting a complete game together. And everyone recognizes that that second half wasn't our best half. And our reflection this week is no different than any other week. We address the game first thing in the morning, address where we need to be better and things that we can do touch upon. That's it. And then we continue to move forward. It's really important. Things aren't going to go our way all the time. It's football. It's sports. Like we just talked about, every other team has gone through a losing streak. This is our first time, so we have to figure out what that looks like. And we have a group of players that have to collectively, as a group, get through that. And then we as a coaching staff have to continue to guide them through that. So it's really important to realize that there's not big drastic changes that need to happen. There's never really has been. It's just now addressing the small things that we need to tweak and fix. But we then need to continue to evolve in the way that we play, because at the end of the day, there's still an opposition on the other side of the field that tries to play against us. So we have to be able to adapt in the way that we want to play. So if you're looking at the last few games and things that we have tweaked, we tweaked a little bit the way that we want to press, just because RSL brought out a different problem. They're pretty wide open, and we needed to be able to find ways that we can defend from sideline to sideline. And if you look at the first half, I thought our press was really good. I think a couple of plays there in the second half, we lost our composure and probably a little bit of our confidence in the way that we play, and just got away from us a little bit. But for us, it's just getting back to that, addressing it, and just putting together consistent training sessions that will hopefully lead to consistent games.
Yeah. So when it comes to consistent training sessions and consistent games, what do you think the last piece of the puzzle is to finish off a game as well as we start? Because in the back, we tend to play out the back. We're looking good. We're looking confident, looking fresh, and then maybe one pass goes astray, or maybe they're pressing up really high and then maybe knock us off our guard. But what do you think that one last missing piece is? Because it doesn't seem to be a fitness issue because we fight to the end.
Sure. I think there's a couple things. One, simply put, it's just time. Again, we're new. It's going to take some time for us to put a consistent full 90 minutes together. It's just, that is what it is. And then two, what we've been talking about, the boys, and Mikey's harped on it as well, is we have to do it in training. The match is a test at the end of the week from everything that you've prepared for in training. So just the little things in training, how we approach a passing pattern or 11v11 and everything in between. How consistent are we in the style of which we want to play in those moments? So then it ends up translating into a game. And it becomes much easier. So, but even with that, it still takes time.
Sure. Is there any dialogue from within, like when we watch the game, just casually, we kind of see, look, the first few games, like you could really define the style that we wanted to play in possession, right? Then the Seattle game, the LAFC game, we were winning these games, but it was like we were going a little bit more direct. We were using Lozano in behind. It was kind of what they were giving us, right? And then now it's kind of reverted where maybe we're going a little bit too long. Maybe teams are kind of baiting us like, hey, play long because we feel like you guys are really good in possession. So we're going to give some space, beat us that way or whatever. And maybe we kind of see it and we get excited. Our eyes get big and we try to make those plays too often. Is that kind of some dialogue that's going on a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's always been the dialogue for us of take what the opponent gives you.
Yeah.
And then the players on the field have to be able to see that. We have to be able to assess that as a group as well and then be able to translate that onto the field. But again, I can't speak to it enough. It's just going to come with time.
Yeah.
I think you are right, especially in that second half of RSL. I think we were trying to go a bit too direct, too early.
Yeah.
And then you couple back and you look at some of the other games. I really look back at the preseason game that we had against Red Bull, which you would think that we were going a bit more direct, but we went more direct because we attracted them so close to us.
They press like no other team. Yeah.
And then if you look at Seattle or even LAFC, it may look like we're going more direct, but it was actually because we've opened them up in a way that it looks like we can play forward a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we were missing.
Yeah. That piece to open them up a little bit. Yeah.
We weren't patient enough in the second half of the RSL game to bring them closer or to open up spaces between lines to make that breakthrough more coordinated. I think we, again, lost a little bit of our composure and just went too fast too early.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I always look on the bright side of things. Like, it's a 3-game losing streak, but like, in reality, like these things are going to happen over the course of a season, and it's better now than for the first time right before playoffs, and guys don't know how to deal with it or deal with this adversity. So getting blocked, great, got some points on our belt, going through a little hiccup, but we have no doubts. The fans should have no doubts that we're going to ride it out and move on. Yeah,
absolutely. I think if the first half of the season has shown anybody, it shows you how good we can be.
Yeah,
and not only how good we are, and it's just a glimpse of how good we actually can be.
Yeah.
I think the future's bright for the group. And at the end of the day, it's just continue to put your head down and work and training every day and reassessing the game of the weekend.
Looking ahead to this weekend, what can you tell us about this match versus FC Dallas?
Yeah, obviously some special players there at Dallas. If you look at Acosta, some of that we're going to have to account for at all periods of the game. But they've done a really good job. Their breakthroughs, their ability to attack with pace on the last line are things that we will need to worry about. And then with that, anytime you give Lucho time and space between lines, he can unlock a game. So we'll have to be that much more disciplined in our defensive shape to protect spaces, especially the pockets into Lucho. And then understanding that direct ball and balls in behind are really important for us to defend as well. But again, we are always, if you have the ball, you don't have to defend. So if we are just that much more patient and keeping the ball and finding the right times to break through, I think we can have success, especially opening them up in some of the areas that we feel like we can exploit them in.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I think obviously Acosta for me is a great player. I remember playing against someone when I was at Red Bull and he was 22, 23 at the time, and he was just running. Oh man, so quick, tiny. I was like, oh, and he was good. He was really good. So I know he's 30 now, but I'm sure he's still got some of that with maybe some more vision and stuff in the number 10. So yeah, great player.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that they're hot right now on the road, right? Where they got 6 unbeaten on the road, and they're just coming off a victory over Miami.
A huge win.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking in games like this, I mean, I know we try to focus more on how we play versus who we're playing against, but if a team's kind of riding high, feeling that, I think time is more on our side. So if we were to play like more of that possession game and they're getting kind of antsy, we do our wearing out thing and then we attack when we can. I mean, again, if we're patient enough to wait for them to open up, give us opportunities to go over the top and then find weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And you couple that with the travel that they just had and then the travel that they're going to have to coming across the other side of the country. So again, I think our style of play suits us well to be successful. And again, as long as we are consistent in putting it together in those increments, I think it should be a pretty good game for us.
Well, Kelvin, thank you so much for joining us for our match preview presented by Alaska Airlines. We always appreciate the insight and you joining the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Thanks
Always
for coming.
a pleasure.
Always. Thank you.
Big news from 18 Threads. New merch is available in store and at 18threads.com. So whether you're heading to Snapdragon Stadium or just repping SDFC around town, 18 Threads has you covered. Stop by Mission Valley or shop online at 18threads.com. Match day at Snapdragon Stadium just got even better. Members now get lower parking rates when you reserve ahead. Less stress, more time to settle in and enjoy the day. Lock in your spot early and save.
Then it's straight to Member Happy Hour, presented by Cutwater. $7 beers, $8 crafts, $10 canned cocktails, all starting 45 minutes before gates open. Perfect time to catch up, settle into your match day.
Got the kids with you? FanFest now has more games, activities, and kid-friendly zones built for more fun for the whole family before the kickoff.
If you're tailgating, we've enhanced the experience with more restrooms and trash stations. Less waiting, less mess, more time to fire up the grill and connect with your crew.
Once you're inside Snapdragon Stadium, we've raised the game too. Premium members now can grab San Diego classics like Hodads and Shawarma Guys, and there's more kid-friendly eats across all club levels.
And if you're in the Pitch Boxes Founder Club, make time for 90 before 90. Local guest chefs, specialty cocktails, all before the action kicks off.
From the first parking spot to the final whistle, it's a match day built for San Diego.
Bring your family, bring your friends. We'll see you at Snapdragon Stadium. Welcome back to a special interview we have for you on the official SDFC podcast. We have San Diego FC's military community outreach consultant, Russ Thompson, to join us ahead of our military appreciation match presented by DIRECTV. Russ, we're so thankful to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being here.
Awesome. Well, for everyone who doesn't know you and everything that you provide to this club, let's just give us a little bit of a background of, what you've done in your life and what has led you to be in this position for San Diego FC.
Okay, well, I grew up in a Navy family, moved up and down the East Coast everywhere from Kittery, Maine to Jacksonville, Florida. Had my own Navy career. I was a naval aviator. I flew helicopters for 26 years. During that time, I was fortunate to command a squadron at NAS North Island, and I also commanded NAF El Centro out in the desert. Retired from there, worked in a school system for a couple of years, decided to wanted to do something different, drove a Zamboni for the Gulls for a year. And then when the previous soccer team, San Diego Loyal, was awarded to San Diego, I started with them as their military community outreach person.
Awesome.
Yeah, are you from San Diego originally, or what got you here?
So I am actually originally from Florida. My family's from Florida. But like I said, I grew up in a Navy family, so I lived all up and down the East Coast. My career was spent mostly on the East Coast. I was selected to command a squadron, and I assumed I'd be going back to Jacksonville, Florida, where I'd flown before. Mm-hmm. And the Navy surprised me by sending me to San Diego.
What a wonderful place to end up.
Well, it's funny. Neither I nor my family wanted to come here until we got here.
And then you loved it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were here for about a month and thought, wow, this is a pretty nice place after all. 20 years later, we're still here.
Provide a little bit of an insight for us on all things of what you do to be able to support now San Diego FC and previously with the Loyal.
So I'm fortunate to live in a city where everybody really does support the military. And San Diego FC certainly, they recognize that the military is a big part of the city. So they brought me on board to start a military community outreach program. And the way we're building it, we're looking at 3 different areas. We're going to, what we do on base, the visits and things that we do on base, the things that we do in game, all the activations, and then the things that we do for quality of life and quality of service initiatives.
No, yeah, I think it's great. I mean, obviously, I remember being a kid and seeing, the old Padre jerseys with the camo on and everything. So it's cool to being, older now and really start to appreciate it even more, and for all the sports teams to really get involved.
Well, we're fortunate that the Padres actually were the first team to have a dedicated military community outreach. They've kind of been the model for other teams to follow. I will tell you that my plan is within the next 3 years to have a better program than they have.
Yeah.
But
that's bold. That's bold.
Well, with the resources that I have and the people that I'm fortunate to work with, I think it's achievable.
Cool.
Russ, why is this so important to you, the work that you're doing?
It goes back to a story from my childhood. We were living in Groton, Connecticut. It was the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year. My family, to say we didn't have money would be a little bit of an understatement. Going to professional sporting matches or games was just not realistic for my family. So the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year, there was a program on base where if you did all the things you're supposed to do, had 100% attendance and did those things, at the end of the summer, they'd take you to a Red Sox game. Being a big Red Sox fan at that time, I made it my mission to be there. And sure enough, at the end of the summer, I was there. I can tell you that I vividly remember my mom dropping me off that morning at the bus. I remember the bus ride up to Fenway Park. I remember getting off and having the chaperones give you your paper ticket and going up to the old guy at the old-fashioned turnstile, and he took the ticket, ripped it in half. I remember walking through the tunnel to our seats that were on the third base line between home base and third home plate and third base. First thing I saw was the Green Monster. It's something I'd seen hundreds of times on TV, but to see it in real life for the first time was immense. I couldn't comprehend the scale of it. They were playing the Milwaukee Brewers that day, and for those of you who remember the 70s or read about them, the Brewers back then wore like a baby blue uniform that had bright yellow flashes, and the yellow just seemed so bright compared to the blue. And then when the Red Sox took the field in their home whites, the whites were just so bright it almost hurt your eyes to look at. The sky that day was this crystal clear blue. There were a couple puffy clouds. I still say that the hot dog and the Coke I had that day are the best hot dog and Coke I've ever had. And the reason that I tell this story is that this is such a vivid memory. This was well over 40 years ago that I had this afternoon, and it's a memory that's just seared into my brain. One of the things that I want to do as the military community outreach person with San Diego FC is I want to replicate that experience for some military kid here in San Diego. If 40 years from now, some kid that got to go to one of our games because of something that we were able to do as part of this program, and they have this memory, I will have done my job.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
I mean, just hearing you talk about that experience and how memorable it was for you. They always, I hear the same thing in being a dad. A lot of the things the kids are going to retain when they get older, those experiences and those trips that you take with them, and going to an SDFC game. I remember being a kid going to Padre games. Those are some memories I have, and so I think it's great what you're doing for sure.
Well, thank you, and it means a lot to me because having grown up in a military family and then having had a military family of my own while I was deployed, they just don't get the credit, the families of the sacrifices that they make on a daily basis. I think everybody appreciates and understands what the service members do. I think a lot of times the families, people just don't understand what it's like for them. And if I can help highlight some of that and help make their time in San Diego better, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, no, perfect.
That's amazing. I know you've been working really hard for this match, specifically our Military Appreciation Night presented by DIRECTV coming up this weekend, on just all the activations and special moments that will be a part of this match. Can you share with us what people can expect on Saturday?
Well, the first thing we did actually was this past Sunday here at the training center. The SHPC, we hosted the Battle of the Bases. It was a soccer game between Naval Base San Diego and Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. We had approximately 25 players and coaches from both bases out here. Their commanding officers were out here and really had a great time.
I'm assuming very competitive, though.
And you know what? It was very competitive in the first half. I'm proud to say that the Navy pulled away in the second half and ended up winning 3-0. But the important thing was that they just had fun. We supplied the uniforms. We supplied everything that would go into making it as professional an experience as possible. And then afterwards, we gave them pizza. So it was a good day.
That's awesome. A little bit more about, what is coming up this week, what else we can expect to be able to see out of this week.
So this week, as you know, it's our military appreciation game. We'll start off at Fan Fest. We're planning to have an Army combat vehicle as part of the Fan Fest as a display. Army recruiting will be there with a booth. And then this is something kind of special. We're going to have 30 future soldiers take the oath of enlistment. When you go to a recruiting office and you sign the papers, you're not actually in until you raise your right hand and you swear allegiance to the Constitution. So that oath will be administered by an Army officer at FanFest to 30 future soldiers. So then going into the game, we're going to have Brigadier General James Ryans, who is the commanding general of Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego. He will be the keeper of the flow for that. Retired Rear Admiral Terry Kraft is going to be one of our honorary captains for the day. So many of the activations that we normally do will kind of have a little bit of a military twist. We'll have a military hero of the match, which we typically do. And he's a Command Master Chief Adolfo Gonzalez from Balboa. We're going to have, as the community member of the match, Jamie Anarda from Armed Services YMCA. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to, though, is we're going to host a group from TAPS. TAPS is the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. The way families get into TAPS is by losing a service member. So we're going to have 3 families or 4 families that are part of this organization there at the game. And I've got a couple things I'm going to give them that are little extras that will hopefully help their game experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, no, that's really cool. All the stuff you're doing. I'm looking forward to seeing all that.
Is there anything else, Russ, that we can expect to see on Saturday?
As a matter of fact, there will be a Navy flyover with V-22 Ospreys. We're going to have an Air Force color guard during the national anthem, and we're also going to have an active duty Air Force performer sing the national anthem. So there will definitely be, the military will be well represented and recognized during this game.
That's amazing. The first 30,000 fans in the stadium will also receive this commemorative SCFC military camouflage courtesy of DIRECTV. So make sure you get to the stadium early and are able to collect one of these to commemorate such a special match filled with a lot of different incredible activations. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Russ.
Thank you, Russ, for the time. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you do for San Diego FC.
Well, thank you for having me here. And thank you for allowing me to talk about a community that I truly care about.